So let's do that. Let's add a class main to our main.java. So again, make sure you're following along. Start with the Java reserved word public. This Java reserved word can only be used by the Java language, and it's often color-coded in blue depending on your development environment. So the public here reserved word says this is for use by anyone. That is, it's public. So anyone will be able to get access to this. We then add the word class, another reserved word. The class reserved word tells the compiler that, hey, we're going to define a new Java class. A Java class is like a blueprint. You can think of it as providing, quote, the plan for your code. So when you hear the word class, think blueprint, think the plan for your code. Now, we're going to give our class a name. In this case, we're going to call it main. Notice that's a capital M, M-A-I-N. And we want our class name, in this case main, to match our file name. Notice the file name is Main.java. So in this file, Main.java, we have a class, a public class called main. Those match. Now, Java is a case-sensitive language. So capital main and lowercase main are not the same. So be very careful. It's a case-sensitive language. Then add the Java reserved symbols, this open curly brace and the closing curly brace. So notice we have on line 1 at the end the opening curly brace, and on line 3 the closing curly brace. This Java reserved symbol, the opening curly brace, think of it as saying begin, and the Java reserved symbol, the closing curly brace, means end. So basically it's showing the class begins at line 1 and it ends at line 3. And we can put anything we want to inside of that class. Well, let's once again use this Java C command to compile your main.java. So here we go, do Java C main.java. We use the Linux ls command to view your list of files, and hey, look at that. We now have a main.class. So we see that our Java C command compiled the main.java, and we got a main.class. So the main.java is your source code file. That's where you, the software developer, will spend your time. The main.class is the Java Byte Code file. So really what's happening, the Java C command will input a .java file and it outputs a .class file. Now we can use the Java command to run our class. So we say Java main. And interestingly, notice we get another error, but it's different from the error we saw previously. This one we see error main method not found in class main. And not only does it tell us the error, it gives us a hint on how to solve it. It says, please define the main method as, and we see a bunch of stuff, public, static, void, main. Essentially, it's telling us that when it loads this class in, it's looking for a method. A method is like an action that it's going to take, and it's looking for one called main. And of course, we don't have that. We haven't entered that into our code. So the method inside a class, it has a set of instructions. That is the method to perform an operation. The error message here, method not found, means the Java command could not find that method. Not only does this give the error message, but it gives that please define the method as. So let's follow the suggestion. Let's begin by typing public. And again, we said that public means anyone can access it. Anyone can access this method. Next, we're going to enter the word static. The static keyword says this method can be called at any time. It's always available. That is, it's static. Then we're going to enter the word void. The void keyword says this method does not return anything. That is, it's void of returning anything. Then we enter main. The word main is not a Java reserved word. It's just the name of our method. And in this case, we're calling it main. And notice we're spelling it lowercase main. The main method is where your program starts executing. So every Java program must have a method named main. And that is where it starts executing. Now, after entering that name, enter an open and close parentheses. The open parentheses means begin the method arguments. In other words, we can send arguments into this method. The closing parentheses says end the arguments. So what this says, we can send arguments into methods. We can send inputs into methods, and they're clearly shown between the open and close parentheses. Now in this case, we're going to enter string with the open and close square brace args. And notice how we enter that. Be very careful to enter it exactly as I show it. For now, ignore the details of what the strings, the open and close args, really means. It actually means you can pass multiple arguments into the method, and we'll look at that later. But again, for now, ignore the arguments because it's optional as to whether they're used. We'll cover that string args later. So finally, enter another open and closing curly brace. The Java reserved symbol again, the open curly brace means begin, and the closing curly brace means end. So what this is really showing you is the beginning and ending of method main. Now, once we've entered that, use the javac command to compile your main.java. So notice javac space main.java. Use the Linux ls command again to view, and you'll see you have the main.class. And when you type Java main, Yahoo! Your Java code ran without any errors. Now granted, it's not doing anything, but at least it ran without errors.